Well, good morning, YouTube. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, right? A lot of stuff is breaking right now in the Athena Brownfield case. This is a case in Cyril, Oklahoma, of a missing girl and the weird circumstances surrounding that case. If you guys have been paying attention to the news, it was odd. A 5-year-old child was walking down the road and a postal worker stopped and asked her a question. The reports we got out early on, which is not in this clip that you will be seeing here in just a moment, but we were hearing that no parents were home. The 5-year-old was home watching her 4-year-old sister, Athena Brownfield, and she could not find Athena Brownfield. At that point, the postal worker called the law. Take a listen to this case.
Alicia Adams was arrested today at 4:12 p.m. on 2 counts of child neglect.
Just in tonight, 2 days after a child was reported missing, her caregiver now arrested.
Alicia Adams now in custody, facing 2 counts of child neglect. State agents say 1 count for each child in her care. 4-year-old Athena Brownfield still missing tonight.
Alicia Adams was arrested today at 4:12 p.m. on 2 counts of child neglect. The counts are related to the 2 sisters, 4 and 5, who were in her and her husband's care. As you know, we're being assisted by multiple law enforcement partners, and we really appreciate everything that everyone has done to assist us in locating this child. We're praying for her family and her relatives, and for the investigators who are looking for her. We also really appreciate and want to make it abundantly clear that this town has taken us in. They have taken care of us. The volunteers who've dedicated their time and energy are very much appreciated. A lot of people are reaching out asking if there's anything they can do. Right now we don't need volunteers to come down and look, because again we're collecting clues and trying to locate her, but if that changes, of course, we'll let everybody know. But it should be noted that we appreciate that, and we appreciate the community of Cyril. As you guys all know, the 5-year-old was found wandering outside of the Adams's house on West Nebraska in Cyril, and a postal carrier found the 5-year-old, and that's when police were notified. One of the questions from this morning was about the health and condition of the 5-year-old that was found yesterday. Excuse me. We can report that she did not require medical care at the time. Of course, she was frightened. That goes without saying when you're a 5-year-old. She's currently in protective custody with the state, but she did not require any sort of medical care at the time. We're still working on putting together the exact timeline, but again, I can confirm that this investigation really kicked off yesterday about 2 p.m. when the postal carrier located the 5-year-old and contacted the police department, and then we got involved later that night. And then of course all of our law enforcement partners have joined us, and we've been looking for her nonstop since the original call came into the police department. With that, I'm going to let Trooper Foster answer some questions about OHP resources that are out here, and also address the Amber Alert.
To answer the Amber Alert question, there have been a lot of questions on the Amber Alert. The Amber Alert has specific guidelines that we have to adhere to push out the Amber Alert specifically. The Amber Alert goes out nationwide. So once we push that button, it goes all the way to Washington, D.C. and goes out like that. So there's specific things and guidelines that we have to follow. Not every part of that guideline came into play in this. And so that wasn't done. So the next best thing that we could do was a missing and endangered notification. That went out in a 15-mile radius in around where we knew that the person was missing. And there are reasons for those guidelines. The Department of Justice puts out those guidelines to help us put that together.
At this point, the investigation into her whereabouts continues. We are actually getting tips from across Oklahoma as well as multiple other states. As you also are aware, trash service in town was suspended. That was in an effort to search for additional clues as to Athena's whereabouts. Right now, I want everyone to understand we're still looking for her. Nothing has changed. Despite what's being said out there, we're looking for her. Our analysts and our team of multiple law enforcement agencies are reviewing surveillance video from around town and again pursuing any tip that comes in, following it up, and trying to identify any clues that can be used to locate Athena. I can't answer a lot of questions. You guys can try to pepper them at me, but that's pretty much all I can release at this time.
Can you confirm that that woman who was arrested was the primary caregiver of the girls?
The girls were in the care of Miss Adams and her husband.
Is the husband going to be arrested as well?
No comment at this time.
How is Miss Adams related to the girls? Is she related to the mom or the dad, or how did she have custody of the girls?
We'll get to that when the time's right.
Can you confirm that investigators looked at waste or investigated the nearby transfer stations, including the one in Ninnekah or Fletcher?
I can't confirm that. I'm not aware of that, but I can say, again, we were looking for any clues as related to the trash, any little piece of evidence that we could secure that might give us a tip as to where she is. That included the trash.
So is this now considered a nationwide search for her?
I wouldn't go that far. It's just, I think that demonstrates how this story is so impactful and how many people care about this child, want to see her returned, and people are phoning in those tips from across the country, and we're following everything.
Has the doorbell camera, the urgency to get a hold of that, has that helped at all in your search?
I don't know that there's a lot of doorbell cameras that have been turned in, but we have a lot of surveillance video from around town that we are analyzing as we speak. So.
Is DHS involved?
No comment at this time. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I don't know if I'll have another update tonight, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware that we do have those arrests, 2 counts of child neglect. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, we're getting the latest information from OSBI right now on this missing 4-year-old, Athena Brownfield, who was reported missing out of Surreal on Tuesday. Now learning from...
Now that you've heard this case, I've taken several different articles and clipped them together to kind of give you a realistic feel of this case. Law enforcement is baffled, but what I did learn from law enforcement is they're not really extending their search outside of that community. They have now asked all volunteers to stop helping. They are now stating that they're collecting evidence, and that's why they don't need volunteers. We see this all too often. And while I'm speculating at this moment, I will tell you my thoughts. My thoughts are this. Athena Brownfield was left home with her sister, potentially, or maybe something happened to her prior to her caregivers leaving the home. I'm unclear about that. However, based upon these interviews with, or press conferences rather, with the chief of police, I'm assuming, we're learning that they are looking in trash. They are looking for all this. They're telling the public that, hey, we're still looking for her. But when you stop having volunteers help you look, now you know we're going into a criminal investigation. So now we're at the criminal investigation stage of this case where everybody is going to be blocked out. Information is now going to be very close to the chest. They've already arrested the caregiver of Athena Brownfield. And, we're trying to figure out how Alyssa Adams has custody of these kids, her and her husband. It was also asked, is her husband going to be arrested? They had no comment on that. Why is she arrested, but the husband's not arrested? This is interesting. We heard leaks coming out that Alyssa Adams, went to her boyfriend's house. So I was surprised to hear about a husband in these clips. So, we have to be careful what we're listening to in rumor and what we're listening to as fact. However, this case is very concerning for me. When I start hearing about landfills and, looking for evidence and things of that nature, this is not going to turn out good, guys. Please pay attention to this case. We are going to start covering this a little bit. I'm not sure to what extent, but stay tuned to the Bullhorn Betty channel as we start piecing this puzzle together of Athena Brown. And just a little shout out from the Bullhorn Betty channel. We want to say prayers for the victim, her family, and her friends. At this time, we just need to uplift them in prayer. Let's be very careful. It sounds like Oklahoma is taking well care of this case. They've already got one person behind bars. Let's just let them do their job. I'm monitoring this case, and we will be discussing it. God bless.
We really appreciate all the tips that have been called in to our tip line. We encourage anybody in town, whether you're a business owner or a resident, that if you have any sort of video cameras or Ring doorbell systems, if you can come down to the church and provide that to law enforcement, it would be very beneficial.
So, as you just heard, law enforcement is asking anybody with any information, any videos, any tips to please come down to the church, their local church, and provide those to them. Anybody in the Oklahoma area, the Surreal area, if you have any information, please, please, please reach out to law enforcement. For everyone else, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as we start peeling this case back and piecing it together. God bless each and every one of you, and be safe.